buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Friday was the end of an era on the Dan Patrick Show.
I just want to tell you thank you and AT&T and all the boys that you work with.
Thank you to all involved with this program.
But today is the beginning of a new era.
Looking forward to seeing you guys on YouTube, brightening my morning and increasing my sports knowledge every single day.
We're going to be a professional outfit here.
This is about to be a moment that you won't forget.
Paulie.
Cooking up heat, get a boy
Seaman.
Grind so heavy, tell them we got next.
Fritzy.
Whole team ready, tell them we on deck.
McLovin.
It's full speed ahead.
To quote the great Skip Bayless, all he does is win.
It's this incestuous machine that just feeds itself.
Dan Patrick.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is the Dan Patrick Show.
Well, we did it. Welcome to the program, a new and improved program. Maybe not. We strive for mediocrity. Anything above that as a blessing. Welcome to the program this Monday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. If you'd like to listen to the program, you can continue to do that on a great radio affiliates around the country, numbering 362. You can also get in touch on Twitter at DP Show, email dp@danpatrick.com. And we start today on YouTube, youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. All 3 hours, it's free. youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. We want to apologize to your bosses if you're trying to sneak a peek while you're at work. In fact, Mario said, why don't you write up a slip, like a permission slip, that allows people to watch the show? And we posted it on Twitter. If that can help you, or you want me to call your boss, I'd be more than happy to do that. You know, all of our, millions of listeners and viewers, I'd be happy to call all of them. Just say, hey, you know what? Let Tommy watch the show for a little bit just to cheer him up. Yes, Paul.
And the show on YouTube is on demand. You could tune in at any time. So if you want to work from like 9 to 10 and then watch the show, you could do that. So you could actually do a little work before watching us.
All right. Well, there's a lot of ways to get in touch, and you can also dial us up, 877-3DP-SHOW. We have our best and worst of the weekend, as we always do every Monday, what you saw that you liked, you didn't like. Peter King from NBC Sports will join us. Also, he wrote the book, literally, on ESPN, James Miller. He also wrote the Saturday Night Live book. We wanted to get his thoughts on Tony Romo getting paid $17 million a year. We'll talk to James Miller. He'll join us coming up next hour. Peter King in about 20 minutes from now. LeBron James for MVP storyline picked up a little speed. I thought I was sitting alone on the bus for that for a while, but after LeBron led the Lakers past the Pelicans last night, New Orleans head coach Alvin Gentry said it's a no-brainer. LeBron is MVP. Here is the Pelicans head coach.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. That's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. So, to me, I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody.
Most people think the Greek Freak is the favorite now, and I certainly understand that. But the debate implies something negative about one of the players, and that's always the danger when you get into this topic, where people in Milwaukee think I'm disparaging the Greek Freak. I'm not. I said he might be the best player in the game. I think LeBron is the most valuable player in the game. And you're going to say, well, what's the difference there? There are a lot of guys who are talented, and I know they're going to win 70 games, but understand this part of the equation. When you vote on this, the people in the media voting are looking for a story. Harden could have won the MVP prior to him winning the MVP. Russell Westbrook could have won it a second time. But they had written that story. And then the Greek Freak came along. They've written that story. Now you can go, LeBron had won the MVP since 2012, 2013. What a great story. Hey, at his age, he's leading the league in assists. Hey, he's doing it without Anthony Davis on some nights here. It's the story that goes along with it. Now, you have to have the stats that go along with that, but the story is LeBron James. And I think it's fun to see all of these younger players, and there's so much excitement in the league. If the Lakers and Pelicans could play 3 times a week, there would be no ratings issues. But, the Bucks are chasing history. The Lakers trying to hold on to the number 1 seed in the West, and it's a brutal Western Conference right now. I'm not saying the Lakers win 70 in the East, but I think it might be a little easier sledding there. LeBron James, with what I've seen, I've said it from the outset, it's a better story. He has the numbers to back it up. And at his age, he has 3 full seasons on his body. So he's 35? He's 38. He's got 239 postseason games. What he's doing is unprecedented. I like the analogy. Somebody said, well, he's become the modern-day John Stockton in Karl Malone's body. And you think about it. He's passing, but then I do think that he has load management. Now, he plays most games, unlike Kawhi. His load management is the following. I think I'm going to ratchet this up tonight. National TV, Zion. Let me put up some decent numbers here. And it feels like getting up for those games or, doing even more for those games. And then no Anthony Davis, so he had to do that. But last night, it was fun to see Zion Williamson again. He's the first teenager in NBA history to score at least 35 points while shooting 75% or better from the floor. And he had 35 last night. He was 12 of 16. And he doesn't have a signature move yet, which is amazing. Because if you look at some of these rookies who came in, Michael Jordan averaged 28 a game when he came in. David Robinson averaged 24. Walter Davis, 24. Bernard King, 24. Zion Williamson is averaging 24 points per game. So he would be up there amongst the all-time rookies as far as their scoring averages in a rookie season. Jordan at the time was a highlight film. People didn't know that Michael was that great. He hit the big shot to win a national title, but, you just heard about Jordan's athleticism. You didn't know that he was going to be able to be this good doing this many things because the big joke was, the one guy who could hold Jordan down was Dean Smith because of the way he played or that style at North Carolina. David Robinson, 7-footer. Walter Davis was as smooth as anybody, hence the nickname Greyhound. And Bernard King had a signature move as well. But watching Zion, it's just power, just raw power. And if you let him get the ball at the foul line, he's either going left or right, and he's taking it to you. But there was an interesting moment after the game. JaVale McGee asked for Zion's jersey. JaVale McGee is a veteran. He's been around a long time. But I'm watching that, and I'm going, wow, okay. And I don't get into this, Larry Bird never would have done that, or Magic Johnson. Hey, I get it. Soccer created all of this. Like, soccer has been doing this for a long time. And then all of a sudden, basketball players, football players, I'm okay with it. It's not the end of the world. People are like, JaVale McGee, you can't let him know that you got a weakness there. Like, yeah, the weakness was playing against Zion Williamson. If I'm JaVale McGee, maybe I can be nice to Zion. But the 80s are over. The 90s are over. This is just different. It feels like there's a collaborative effort in the NBA. But LeBron James, with what he did last night, that was fun to see. Fun to see again. And to watch Zion do it, it's no fluke. He doesn't have a jump shot. He just has raw power here. And you saw that on display again last night. I also like the James Harden, the Greek freak back and forth. Boy, that happened on Friday, and that got to be really delicious there.
Saucy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was like, boy.
When I saw this, I'm like, man, I figured you were driving in your car just chopping this one up.
Oh, I'm thinking, here's James Harden. Now, the sensitivity goes back to, and I do think this about James Harden. I think James Harden probably sits around with his boys and goes, these people just don't get me, man. What I'm doing? I mean, I'm averaging 37, 38. Like, they don't get me. And I understand that maybe we don't get you. I'm fascinated by you, but I wouldn't want to play on your team. Now, that being said, I still think the Rockets are extremely dangerous because of Russell Westbrook. Westbrook has been unbelievable. He has been underrated with what he was going to, because it got to the point where I think that the Thunder said, we've gotten the best out of this guy. He's 30, and the Rockets thought, Daryl Morey was going to bring him in, and we go, why would you bring in a guy who can't shoot threes? Well, He doesn't have to. He was told not to shoot threes by somebody other than me. So he attacks the hoop. And you're seeing an unbelievable performance by him. But James Harden, it still feels like James Harden's going to be, he'll go through his career and he'll probably like, nobody really got me, man. You know, look at all I did and nobody really got me. James Harden might be the basketball version of Arrested Development. Like, we look at it and go, God, I miss that. Like, why didn't more people appreciate that? But James Harden, he's responding to criticism. Now, the Greek Freak said he didn't want to take James Harden on his team, the All-Star team, because he wanted to have somebody who was going to pass him the ball. I love that. Well, Rachel Nichols talked to James Harden, and this is how a portion of that interview went on Friday.
You do have people talking about some of the stereotypes that have blown up around you. Charles Barkley, when they had the All-Star draft, was saying, oh, no one wants to take James Harden. He's a dribbler. Giannis Antetokounmpo makes a joke on the air about, I want to take someone who can pass. I'm taking Kemba Walker instead of James Harden.
I average more assists than him, I think.
You ranked 10th in assists going into the All-Star break, and Kemba ranked 36th in assists going into the All-Star break.
So I don't see what the joke is, but I didn't even see it. You know, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I just know none of them can mess with me.
Well, Daryl Morey, your general manager, had a great line to kind of address all of that. He said, being different doesn't really get appreciated until it works.
Yeah, or when I'm done. You know, when it's all said and done, you know, they'll appreciate it more. You know, but I wish I could just run and with 7 feet and run and just dunk. Like, that takes no skill at all. I got to actually learn how to play basketball and how to have skill. I take that any day.
Wow, that is rich. That's when he takes his shot at the Greek Freak. I'm guessing the Greek Freak can do just a little more than just run up. There are a lot of 7-footers. There aren't any 7-footers who are like the Greek Freak. Yes, McLovin.
Was that a little petty of Rachel to go, Kemba ranks 36? The way she said it was like kind of stoking the fire a little bit.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she got a good soundbite out of it. But I think with the Greek Freak, you know, that's Harden's way of kind of zinging him back that, hey, all he does is run up and down the floor and dunks. I don't know of many other 7-footers who do who's doing or did what the Greek Freak has done. By the way, Greek Freak, didn't he go 40-20?
Yeah, response game.
I'm sorry. I can do a little bit more. I'm 40-20. Here is the Greek Freak, courtesy of ESPN.
He hasn't been a back and forth. Like, I'm not that type of guy. I've never tried to take stabs on somebody. Maybe sometimes might come out like that, but I'm definitely not. I'm just trying to do my job, which is win games and go back home to my family and my kid. Like, but at the end of the day, you know, if that's what he believes, that's what he believes. I can't say anything about it. I just gotta keep being focused and keep, staying to focus on my goal.
What's the Greek Freak doing? You got to keep it going. What are you doing? Hey, I just go home to be with my kid?
That's not trash talk.
Come on. Come on. You were doing great up to a certain point.
I'm just trying to win games and then go home to my family.
Yeah, that's not trash talking.
I'm eating a balanced diet and getting a good night's sleep.
Yes.
Eat that.
Yeah. But Harden, hey, he's always been fascinating to me. You know, there's a portion of Harden that, it's like Jameis Winston. I'm fascinated by Jameis Winston. I'm fascinated by James Harden. Now, James Harden is an elite player. Jameis Winston is just fascinating, good and bad. But James Harden, and you heard it in that answer to Rachel Nichols. When I'm all done, then maybe people will truly appreciate me. It's just, he has some games that you just go, that's horrible. Not bad, horrible. And then he has other games where you go, it's absolutely fascinating. But I would not want to play on the same team with him, but I do love watching him play. And there was a moment in the Celtics game with the Rockets where Russell Westbrook Jr. III was like, he's out on the wing, and he's like, dude, throw me the ball. And then Harden was like, and then he just shot an air ball. And I'm going, come on. Move it around just a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. Yes, McLovin.
I thought that was on Westbrook. Because Westbrook was just standing at the 40, as Westbrook tends to do.
Well, how about you throw it to... Well, these guys stand around and watch Harden. You can't sit there and go, why aren't you guys moving?
Well, that's what Harden was saying. Why you got to move so your guy doesn't double me when I go left.
James Harden doesn't pass. So if I'm guarding what Russell Westbrook, then I'm going to be sloughing off you. I want Russell Westbrook to take a jumper there. But he wouldn't even throw it to him to maybe throw it back to Harden. Or maybe Harden would make a move. How about that? Yeah, McClellan.
By the way, they're 2 games back of the Clippers and Nuggets for the 2 seed and trending up fast.
Yeah, I get
so
it.
They could be number 2 right behind the Lakers.
I just don't know if they can be consistent in a 7-game series. That's it. We can be, and people can say, the Rockets can say, oh, you guys overlooked us during the regular season. Guilty as charged. I'm fascinated by it. I do think it can work. I don't think it can win a championship. But I do think that they could pull off a surprise or 2 in the playoffs. But I don't know if they can be consistent enough because it comes down to you got Harden and you're not sure what you're getting every night. I mean, you may get 38, but it may be an ugly 38. Or you get Westbrook who might put up 30. Or he doesn't. And then who else fills in? Because now you got to score 120 points to win games. Remember when it used to be in the 90s? Maybe 100? Although Milwaukee had, 90 points last night in their win. You got to score. And do you have enough scores? That's the big difference here. Poll question, McLevin, what do you have for me?
Do you want to put up this LeBron, Giannis MVP, see where the people stand? How about a co-MVP, Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell?
No, I don't like the co-MVP.
But why do you have to choose one of them? They're both kind of MVPs.
Well, that's what we do.
So let's get the audience.
You want a participatory MVP?
I thought the co-MVP, what was it, 1979 with Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell was kind of cool. I remember they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
No.
But all right, let's get the audience's take who they vote for.
All right.
We have big audiences in Milwaukee and LA.
Look, I might be in the minority with LeBron. I think I said that on Friday, but I'm looking at the story, what he's doing, the mileage he's playing. There's no load management here. And the pressure now that he's put on himself because you're the one that disassembled this team and the pressure we put on him. Hey, you wanted all these kids traded. You wanted Anthony Davis here. Now let's see what you can do. He's performed up to the expectation level and probably more so. Yeah, McLevin.
Do you think he should load manage, though, at the end?
Yes.
And which could hurt his MVP chances.
Well, we might have that with the Greek Freak as well if they're going for. But I think getting to 70 wins is really important to the Bucks. I think the Bucks feel like if they get to 70, then their guy is winning the MVP. And if you want to give it to Greek Freak, give it to him. I don't want people in Wisconsin to think that I don't think the Greek Freak is great. When we were talking the other day, and I might have been with Reggie Miller, and I said, if we had a draft, I'd probably take the Greek Freak. I mean, at worst, he's in the top 3 players in the world. So it's not disparaging. I'm just talking about the value of him. I think Milwaukee, without the Greek Freak, is still a playoff team in the East. Okay? LeBron, not on the Lakers, they're not a playoff team in the West. But it always comes down to, you're criticizing our guy. And I don't want to do that. I just want to point it out that I think LeBron and the story is the MVP story this year. Let's see what plays out here the rest of the year. Do they get the number 1 seed in the West? There's a whole lot of value to the number 1 seed in the West. Yeah, Paul.
Bucks versus the Lakers Friday night.
It'll be settled on the floor.
Bucks Lakers.
Yeah. Winner takes all.
Put the trophy right in the middle.
This program brought to you by TrueCar. Go to TrueCar to build your car and compare models by options. From discovery to pricing to reviews, you get everything you need with the new TrueCar. We are interested in what you think of the show on YouTube. It's a little bit different. We have a lot more cameras in here, but give us your feedback on it because this is your show and your channel, The Dan Patrick Show on YouTube.com. It's not YouTube TV. I don't want people to get confused with that. You're not paying for anything. Completely free. And go to youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show and give me your thoughts on this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Peter King will join us after being at the Combine the entire week and get his thoughts on a couple things. I don't know what Julian Edelman and Tom Brady were talking about, but I don't think Tom was too happy when Julian Edelman said that Tom's coming back. There's some new information on the Patriots. I'll have that for you as well. Also, my scout who was at the Combine had some things to say about some of the players there, including Jordan Love, and also the rumor that the Dolphins may lose out on Tua to the Redskins. So Peter King will join us coming up. Your phone calls, best and worst of the weekend, 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. You want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on that credit card at the end of your first year automatically. No limit on how much you can earn, which is amazing. In fact, it's even more amazing because of all the places where Discover is accepted. Over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards take the Discover credit card. Hey, Todd.
That's pretty impressive.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah? Okay.
Battling a little stomach bug.
All right. Wait, you brought it in?
No, it's not that kind of stomach bug. It's because of an antibiotic that I'm taking.
We need to get some Purell. You got it there, Seton? All right. Discover.com/yes. Pray for us. shout out to Canada. We're big in Canada.
Huge.
They're watching on YouTube. Give us your feedback, though. It's something a little bit different, but really excited about it. And if you have some time, you can tweet us. You can also dial us up. Best and worst of the weekend. We'll get to your phone calls coming up. Fritzy's playing a little bit hurt today, but we're glad to have you here for the debut.
It's good to be here.
But you sicked out and then unsicked out.
Yeah, something happened on Sunday evening where my stomach has started hurting a lot, and I'm taking an antibiotic for what was wrong with me last week, and that's not agreeing with me.
Okay.
And so
don't need details.
Okay.
No gory
Yeah, so
details.
it's just like significant abdominal cramps. If I'm not my jolly self.
No. I know you're playing hurt. I just wanted to let people know you don't sound as crisp and jovial as you normally do.
Yeah, and anytime that area of my body is under attack, I get a little extra worried because of my
no details.
Okay.
Nope. Just
I'm not going to do anything vulgar.
Glad to have you here. Oh no, it's not vulgar. It's just sometimes too much information, but we're glad you're here and you're playing hurt. Yeah, Paul.
I was a little worried because Todd usually wears the same pair of jeans, either dark gray or blue, and he went sweatpants today, which, according to my records, he hasn't worn sweatpants in 6 years, and I was pretty worried about him because sweatpants means he's sick.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to go extra comfortable, knowing I was just kind of beaten up today.
We're glad to have you. Hopefully
it was
nobody
important
gets
to me to be here with you guys, especially for the first show into the new regime.
Yeah, I don't know if McLovin is thrilled to have you.
No, I don't think he's contagious anymore. Once he gets into the internal stuff, I'm cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Peter King. He'll join us. He spent some time at the Combine, of course, the great column, Football Morning in America. He'll join us. Are we going to go with NBA MVP?
Yeah, and you're saying I can't put co-MVPs. It's not an option.
No.
So it's Giannis versus LeBron.
No, it's the easy way out. Easy way out.
There's not a third. Like Harden doesn't get in that conversation, does he?
No. I think it's I don't know. A lot of people say the race is already over, but I don't believe so. I think what these two are doing, Giannis had an unbelievable game, 40-20. LeBron had another great game. Do they get to 70 wins in Milwaukee?
But what if they get the record for wins? I don't know. What if they chase the Bulls and the Warriors down?
Well, if you get to 70, you're chasing the Bulls and the Warriors.
That seems to favor Giannis, the best player on the best team.
What if LeBron ends up facing the Bucks after they've put up 73 wins, like he did against Golden State when they put up 73 wins, and he wins another title?
History repeats itself.
Yeah, all right. Peter King, NBCSports.com, and the great column starting your Monday morning, Football Morning in America. Spent some time at the Combine. Feels like it's Groundhog Day, Peter. People go kicking and screaming, yours included, with the Combine that we don't really get much out of this. And then after it, we're talking about those who are rising and falling and who made money and, so all the drama that was there. Number one story, number one headline coming out of the Combine is what for you?
Unfortunately, because I don't know that there's anything altogether new, but, I'm having breakfast with somebody very prominent in the league on Thursday, and I said, give me your stories this week. And he goes, Tom Brady is the domino that's paralyzing the entire NFL. And until people know what happens there, look at how many people are being held hostage, from Derek Carr to Bill Belichick to, there's 30 really big people in the NFL who their lives are going to be affected an awful lot by whatever Tom Brady chooses to do and whatever teams choose to go after him. Now, there are some teams that are out there who are, quote, in the Tom Brady hunt, end quote, that I'm not sure that they are. And there's some teams that I think it really doesn't make a lot of sense for, but who knows? This is a very unusual situation. The reason I poo-poo it only a little bit, Dan, is that, the rest of the league is going on. And there's an awful lot happening. This is the Combine really has become like a political convention because everybody, and I mean everybody, goes for 4 or 5 days. And so you're going to run into Jerry Jones. You're going to run into Howie Roseman. You're going to run into Bruce Arians. You're going to run into everybody in the league at some point over like a 4-day period. If you're lucky, you get to schmooze a little bit and move on. The difference, I think, this year, Dan, is the labor agreement, although the public, and rightfully so, is not all that concerned about it because no matter what happens, there is going to be football this year. But the labor agreement is on everybody's mind. That is, to the common person in the NFL, so much more important than where Tom Brady lands. And I had the Giants player rep, Nate Solder, tell me over the weekend that he asked 15 players on his team in the last few days. He's talked to 15 players, and he said, what would your vote be? Do you want to stay at 16 games or go to 17 with improved salary and benefits? And he goes, it was 15-0 in favor of playing 17 games. So there's a tremendous disparity of opinion. It is exactly, I said to somebody, this is precisely like the America that Donald Trump sees and the America that Bernie Sanders sees. It is diametrically opposed, and somebody's going to be really pissed off when this vote happens, and maybe 1,000 people will be really kicked off. But this is going to be a very interesting story over the next week or so.
What's more likely to happen? Brady leaves the Patriots or the Redskins take Tua at number 2?
The Redskins aren't taking Tua. I just can't. I can't see it in a million years. Now, is it in their best interest to convince everybody that they might take Tua? Yes, because then Miami might be forced, imagine this scenario, Dan. Imagine Miami trades a 1 and a 2 to go up to number 2 to get, to make sure they get Tua, and then imagine imagine Washington then trading back up with the Lions so they can get Chase Young at 3. There's all kinds of things that'll happen, but I'll be shocked if Washington takes Tua.
Talking to Peter King, his column is Football Morning in America. Keeping an eye on some of these other quarterbacks, and as you said, Brady is the domino there. The next quarterback after Brady is who in the dominoes?
Well, I think it would be a tie. I don't think there's anybody who is overwhelming, but Teddy Bridgewater is very interesting to a bunch of teams because he's proven that in a good system, he definitely can win. He's a great leader type guy. And so, whether that's Tampa, which I think is probably the favorite for Teddy Bridgewater. And then after that, I guess you'd have to say Cam, although I had a good conversation with Matt Rule at the Combine, and he said flat out, I'm really looking forward to working with Cam Newton. And he's watched a bunch of tape on him, and I think, if I had to guess right now, my guess would be that Carolina would likely keep Cam, but that would not eliminate them from taking, say, a Justin Herbert or Jordan Love, maybe even trading down a bit to do that in the first round. Yeah. And then, there's any one of a number of guys. I think the big question about Phillip Rivers right now is, does he really want to play regardless of what the money is, or is he going to be out there seeking sort of franchise quarterback money for a couple of years? And is there a team? I kind of don't think Indianapolis would do that. I've thought for a while Indianapolis is the favorite for Phillip Rivers, but then again, if he wants $27 million a year, I doubt Indianapolis would pay that. So those are some of the issues right now that are kind of floating out there.
Was there a guy who really helped his draft stock at the Combine?
I don't know how much more that Isaiah Simmons could do because most people already thought he was a top 10 pick. But just in terms of impressive people and players at the Combine, I would say that Isaiah Simmons was number one because, I had a coach who said Isaiah Simmons right now could walk into his training camp, he thinks, and play safety, any linebacker spot, or even slot corner. And so that would be the most amazingly diverse, it'd be like the modern day version of Troy Brown in New England. You know, he can play so many places. And then I think the other guy was Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin. Although Jalen Hurts, by the way, had a great night on Thursday. I now think he's an absolutely solid third-round pick. A lot of people love Jalen Hurts as a leader, and they really want him on their team. But I think they were concerned about how he throws the deep ball because he really has not had to throw a lot of deep balls, really. And he threw the deep ball, again, against air, okay? So against no rushers, but, man, he's got a good arm. So, I don't know. He helped himself, too. But that running back from Wisconsin, wow. This guy had 926 carries in college. But now you've got all these people in the NFL who think, well, we may not have a running back get to a second contract anyway. So let's just ride this guy. He's tremendous. He's Saquon-esque. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. If I take a running back in the first round, I'm using him up those 5 years, and then that's it. Like I even with the Cowboys, I wouldn't have re-signed Ezekiel Elliott. You know, I would have found somebody else with that offensive line. The Titans with what they have with Derrick Henry. You know, do you re-sign him? Do you think he stays with Tennessee?
Well, Dan, that is a great question. The guess, and look, one of the reasons why Tennessee has a huge vested interest in which way this contract goes. For people who don't know this, right now an NFL team could tag, a couple of free agents here in the last year of this current CBA. But if there's a new CBA, you can only use one tag per year. So if this passes, they've got Jack Conklin, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill, and they can only tag one. So I think, this is a tough call. If you're in on Tom Brady, in my opinion, you've got to tag Derrick Henry. I would if I were them. And I would really try hard to sign Conklin. But as crazy as it sounds, Derrick Henry would be vitally important if you're going hard after Brady.
Well, if I'm Brady, and by the way, he was FaceTiming Mike Vrabel from the Syracuse game. Is that tampering, Peter?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. They might have been talking about
no
his son at Boston College. I don't know.
I don't think they're breaking down Buddy Boeheim's game. Yeah. By the way, the Tony Romo deal that seemed to steal the weekend. What was the buzz off of that?
Just that, I think when you look at what Romo did, what CBS did is they wounded ESPN. ESPN is not used to losing things that they want to win. ESPN, everybody in the business says, desperately wanted Romo. And right now, the way you look at it is, ESPN, because these packages, Dan, could change. Just think about it. In 2021, if this passes, there's going to be 18 more football games. Could 10 of them be put in a package for streaming, maybe with Google or Amazon or somebody with a bottomless pit of money to throw at the NFL, $1.5 billion for 10 okay games? That's so you don't really know. And you hear all these things about ESPN wanting to improve the Monday night package or invade Sunday. So I think what CBS did is they said, we are still what I would call a bejeweled property in the TV field, and we're not going to have our biggest talent poached.
Oh, boy. I still go back to, if Tony Romo didn't get hurt, like what would he be doing today? What would the Cowboys have at quarterback if that didn't happen?
Well, I doubt they would have been so intent that year that they went, Dan, remember, 2016, number one choice, far and away for the Dallas Cowboys, Paxton Lynch. Desperately disappointed when they didn't get him. First pick of day 3, the Cowboys thought that they had a trade with the Cleveland Browns worked out where they were going to trade up to get this first pick in round 4, and they were taking Connor Cook. Well, they got trumped literally at the last minute, and Oakland traded up for that pick, and Oakland picked Connor Cook. And then, so in a very disappointed way, even though they had good reports on Dak Prescott, they took Dak Prescott. My gut feeling, just the gut feeling, was if Romo was healthy, they wouldn't have been so intent on getting a quarterback. Would they have picked Prescott? Who knows? Maybe, but I doubt it. And who knows? Romo, you know what people don't know enough about Tony Romo? I'll never forget being with him at training camp one day, and he took out his phone, and he had all these videos of how every quarterback in the league threw. And he was breaking down everybody. And it was a fun conversation, even if you're not a passing scientist, even if you're not Tom House. It was so fun to listen to him. And I remember thinking that day, because I always thought Romo would be great on TV. I didn't know how great. But I remember thinking that day, this guy breaking down the sport of football in a way that people can understand is going to be great. And, you know, you hate to say this, but as good as he was at his peak in football, you know, he's better in the booth.
Peter, great to read the column as always. Thank you for your time.
All the best, Ian. Take care.
Peter King, NBCSports.com, Football Morning in America. I remember when Romo did his audition, because I'd only heard Romo after games, you know, after Cowboy games, where he would just sort of give you a standard line. You know, it's frustrating, he'd normally say after they lost. And somebody who was there and watched his audition, they said he was unbelievable. And I was like, really? And then the person who I've known for a long time said, yeah, unbelievable. And I thought, all right, I'm waiting for this. And lo and behold, you got that. We'll talk a little bit more about this, because I think people are viewing this differently. I think they're viewing it incorrectly, in my opinion, of how I view Tony Romo's contract. Have that for you coming up. Phone calls are welcome, best and worst of the weekend. And our play of the day is up next here on The Dan Patrick Show.
my God.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're going to play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Alamir Dawes down by 1 with 3 seconds. Dawes to the basket. Dawes the goal! Tigers by 1. Ray, 3 quarters court. No good. That's for the Giant Killer again, partner.
Clemson takes down number 6 Florida. Clemson's now defeated 3 top 7 teams in one season. First time since 1979. Beat Duke and Louisville earlier this season. By the way, a little Smooth with Santana featuring Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas, a South Carolina native. I met him at LaGuardia Airport coming back from the Super Bowl.
When was this?
When I came back from the Super Bowl.
Which year?
This year.
Oh.
And he was at baggage claim. And I saw him, and I didn't want to go bother him. And then he came up to me, and he goes, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was on a Howard Stern roundtable with you. And I go, I remember. I said, how are you, Rob? And he goes, good. You know, everything's going great. Matchbox 20 is 2020 or whatever it is. They're going back out on tour. And I said, oh, great. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. But we were on a super fan roundtable with Natalie Maines was on that.
Love Natalie Maines.
Yeah, but I don't think she thought that I was a true fan of Howard Stern.
Did she think you were kind of a poser?
Poser, yeah. But I just wasn't going to show off. I'm older than her. I've been listening to Stern since '86, so I didn't want to play that card with her, but it felt like I had to. Jeff Probst was there from Survivor. And Matt Berry, the fantasy guy from ESPN, was there. It was fun. But, yeah, we did the round table. Play of the day brought to you by Tecovas. Gentlemen, listen up. Tecovas boots, handmade, full-grain leathers, world-class boot makers. Tecovas cuts out the middleman, sells directly to you at amazing prices. Shipping, returns, exchanges, free and easy, just like us. Visit Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. Tecovas, Western Goods for new frontiers. Oh, the fan mail is coming in hot and heavy. This is from Dave in Denmark. Great to see the show on YouTube. I wasn't able to see it over here in Denmark. The show starts at 3 p.m. I started listening to your show in 2008 when I lived in Portland. I moved to Denmark in 2012. I listened to the show mostly on the podcast. Love you guys. Keep up the mediocre work. Thank you. We appreciate that, Dave. Very kind words from you from Denmark. Let me see. This is from Shanks. This might be Eric Shanks. Who is the head of Fox Sports. I'm not sure. It just says, keep up the good work, Shanks. Great to finally be able to watch you guys in England. Podcast listener for 5 or 6 years. Got a poll question after Fritzy's last bout of sick leave. Worst excuse to miss work. A director at my wife's work had a few days off because her rabbit died. Well,
a few days?
That's what Shanks says. A few days off. All right, I mentioned Tony Romo's deal, $17 million, and the way I view it as the following. I know that we like to lump in everybody would play sports for free. You get to broadcast a game. All right, I view what Jim Nantz and Tony Romo do, just like I do CSI Los Angeles or whatever those shows are on CBS, Friends. You know, it's a big number that's watching them. Now, I do have the counter argument that I don't tune into a game just to hear a broadcaster, but if they are broadcasting a game, then they can, enhance the quality of that. Tony Romo getting paid $17 million, great. You know, CBS viewed it as this is an investment. This is our top show. This makes us a lot of money. We spend $1 billion. The rights are up soon. You want to say to the league, we kept our team intact. Make sure you give us quality games. I don't know what it does for Peyton Manning's negotiating stance, but we'll find out next hour with Jim Miller, who wrote the book on ESPN and is well-connected in this area. Would Peyton Manning take that job now? Now that he knows it's $17 million, he might go, that's 17 for Romo, it's 20 for me. And if you're ESPN, you're going to take another dip into the pool with Peyton Manning. Got to get somebody here. If you're now going after Romo, or you're going after somebody else. And that's why I thought if Drew Brees retired, Drew Brees probably would have been the guy they got if they didn't get Romo. All right, best and worst of the weekend. We'll give you ours coming up next hour. buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Friday was the end of an era on the Dan Patrick Show.
I just want to tell you thank you and AT&T and all the boys that you work with.
Thank you to all involved with this program.
But today is the beginning of a new era.
Looking forward to seeing you guys on YouTube, brightening my morning and increasing my sports knowledge every single day.
We're going to be a professional outfit here.
This is about to be a moment that you won't forget.
Paulie.
Cooking up heat, get a boy
See?
Seaman.
Grind so heavy, tell them we got next.
Fritzy.
Hopes and ready, tell them we on deck.
McLovin.
It's full speed ahead.
To quote the great Skip Bayless, all he does is win.
It's this incestuous machine that just feeds itself.
Dan Patrick.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is the Dan Patrick Show.
Oh, it's hour 2 on the new beginning here. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. You can go to youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show if you'd like to watch, and it's absolutely free. We also welcome in our great radio affiliates around the country, numbering 362, and the people watching around the world. We've heard from a couple of different countries this morning. They're able to watch the show on YouTube. Got a poll question. I thought it was kind of spicy, although I don't know if the results are going to be that. McLovin, update the poll
They're pretty
results.
close. Who's the NBA MVP, Giannis or LeBron? 61% Giannis.
All right. And if he wins, great. Great story. He came in the league. He was 7 feet tall. He weighed 180 pounds. He's made himself into a great basketball player. And he's more than just a guy who's 7 feet, runs up and down the floor dunking, as James Harden pointed out. He has worked to increase his range, his ball handling. He's a wonderful player. But LeBron James is the better story this year. And with that story comes results as well. And that's why I'm predicting that the media is going to have this change of heart and go, this is pretty incredible what we're watching. And trust me, having voted on these awards, sometimes the storyline plays an important role. James Harden finally won his MVP. Russell Westbrook won his MVP. The Greek Freak won his MVP. And then when you realize LeBron hasn't won one since 2012. He's got 4 MVPs. It feels like he's been the MVP for 15 years, right? By default, it just feels like, oh, who's the best player in the league? You know, LeBron James. And, you know, I have no problem saying the Greek Freak's the best player in the game. The best player doesn't always win. Charles Barkley won one. Karl Malone won one. Why do you think they won those? There was a storyline there. Jordan won 5 of them. Jordan could have won every single year. But Charles Barkley and the Suns were a great story. Malone and the Jazz were great stories. And great stories sometimes win MVPs, just the way it is. And that's why I looked at LeBron, you know, what he's done this year. Everybody telling me Kawhi's better than LeBron. LeBron's passed the baton to him. No, he hasn't. No. Oh, Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers. No, he's not. My approach is probably pretty boring. If I had a boss, they'd go, come on, you know, create some excitement. Say Anthony Davis is better than LeBron or Kawhi's better than. They're not. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. Kawhi has load management, and LeBron goes out there and plays. Now, do I want load management for LeBron later in the season? Yes. So he doesn't do what James Harden does every playoffs, and that is gets tired. But LeBron last night, going against Zion and the Pelicans, put up great numbers. Lakers, Bucks, Friday night. That'll be fun. All right, got our poll question. Phone calls are always welcome every Monday, best and worst of the weekend. We'll go around the room, our best and worst. We'll talk a little bit more about Tony Romo getting $17 million. The Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury rematch is a go. I get it from Wilder's perspective. He's 34. This is his last payday. If you're Fury, you know this was part of the language in the contract. You get another payday, and then that will lead to your matchup with Joshua. And then that'll be for really, really big numbers. And then Tyson Fury could probably retire after that or want to retire after that. All right, 877-3DP-SHOW, email address dp@danpatrick.com. Anthony in California joins us. Hey, Anthony, what do you have for me today?
Hey, good morning, Dan. Love the new format. You guys rock. Welcome to the internet. This is just amazing. And I want to say you solved one of my worst problems with the show. Recorded it every day on my DVR, went away on vacation for 2 weeks hoping to binge watch.
Yep.
Came back, found out my DVR had died. I was beside myself.
And
now I don't have to worry about that anymore.
And Anthony, we found out about your DVD dying, and that's why I have on demand that you'll never miss an episode. It's because of you, Anthony, and nobody else.
And I love you. I love you for that.
Thank you, Anthony. That's what we do. It's one listener, it's one viewer at a time. That's our motto. Mediocrity or bust. You know what? You need me to call your boss so you can watch it at work? I'll try to help you out there as well. In fact, we should pick out one viewer who says, will you call my boss and would you ask him if I can watch the show while I work? And I'd be more than happy to do that. So send your tweets, and Mario is going to, we'll try to help out one person. Just send, just tweet us, all right? And then if I can help one person watch this show, then I'll do that, just to make your life a little bit better. Jeff in St. Louis. Jeff, how do I make your life better today?
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
And that was close to a hole-in-one on the
on the simulator.
Nice shot.
Yeah, if you're if you're new to the show and you're watching, we have a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of toys in here. We got our golf simulator. If you want to learn how to play golf, I've got the golf simulator. You want to learn how to shoot hoops, you can watch me. We have a beautiful gym in here. It is a spectacular man cave. So continue, Jeff.
Yes, Dan. I want to give you my best and worst of the week.
All right.
Definitely the best, and I'm going without a doubt best of the year is being able to watch you and the Danettes back on my TV again for free, and that proves how unselfish you are and dedicated you are to your fans. And I love you all.
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Get better.
All right.
And my worst, he's my favorite quarterback. Get over this Tom Brady deal. I'm tired of it.
Oh, you got a couple more weeks there, Jeff. Thanks for the phone call. And good luck with that. Tom Curran had something that I want to read for you. And Curran covers the Patriots. Let me see if I have it here. Let me see if McLovin, you send that to me here?
I did believe.
You did?
I did. You talking about which aspect of the Syracuse thing? Or
No. Tom Curran. Well, I don't know why Brady and Edelman were at Syracuse, a basketball game with Jimmy Fallon.
We're still trying to figure that out. There's got to be a reason.
What happened?
There's got to be a way to connect that to another NFL franchise. Like how many steps from going to a Syracuse game to he should be playing for the Bills?
Buffalo Bills.
Remember we had that caller say Buffalo last week?
Yeah, he's not going there. Let's see. This is Tom Curran. First off, this is not a Cold War. It's T-minus 15 days until Brady becomes a free agent. The Patriots want Brady to play quarterback for them in 2020. There are financial hoops to jump through. There are personnel obstacles to clear. Understandings on both sides need to be reached, but the Patriots want to try and make that happen. There's been no meeting, but it hasn't been total radio silence. Texts have been sent. Bill Belichick is not freezing Brady out. That's according to Tom Curran. All right. I mean, until we hear something more out of Brady's camp, because this isn't out of the Patriots camp or Belichick's camp, and maybe they're trying to create some leverage here. You get a deal, people are fawning all over you, great. Then you go back to the Patriots and say, are you willing to give me this? And then we're going to find out what Judgment Day is all about. Couple of things here. My source was at the Combine over the weekend and had some interesting things to say. I wanted to bring it to your attention. And they're all random thoughts because I go back and forth with him about what I'm seeing on the screen. I said, did we learn anything from the Combine? And he said, a lot of medical questions are answered. He's really big on that you really get a chance to see these players. And he said, Isaiah Simmons from Clemson might be the freakiest tester, which puts him in the top 5. But when you watch his tape, it's too high. This goes back to Deion Jordan. Remember him at Oregon? And he went like 3 overall to Miami. He had everything. He was like, look at this athlete. I don't even know if he's still playing. My source says all reports on Tua were good. Engaging, came off smarter than his test score. Do we know what the Wonderlic score is? Because apparently my source does. So I don't know if Tua didn't do well on the Wonderlic, but he said engaging came off smarter than his test score. My source goes on to say there will be a lot of hype around Jordan Love of Utah State. Big, athletic, strong arm, all the physical tools. Big question, will he be able to run an NFL offense? Good kid, humble, wilted this year in games versus better competition. He's a good prospect that will take time, but today his value is inflated. Talked about Okudah from Ohio State. He didn't like the way he looked prior to getting hurt, and he likes this guy Willie Gay from Mississippi State. Very good. So it's just sort of random thoughts that I get when I go back and forth with him. And he's the one who told me about Phillip Rivers with the Colts, and he hasn't wavered off of that. Now it feels like the NFL world is catching up with that report that came out at the Super Bowl. And I don't know if they go. If I'm the Colts, who else is available here? And if it's, you're going to be able to get Andy Dalton. Does Teddy Bridgewater make more sense? And then you have Phillip Rivers. I think Andy Dalton is sneaky good in a situation like this for a couple of teams. Like if I miss out, if Brady leaves and I'm on the Patriots, I would look at Andy Dalton. The Bears thinking of bringing in Andy Dalton. That's interesting. This is it for Mitchell Trubisky. This is put up or shut up here. Because Andy Dalton, to me, is a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky has a lot of talent, but you're waiting for potential. And that can cost you your job. I also had a source tell me that he did not believe for a minute that the Redskins are interested in Tua Tagovailoa. And I went, all right. You want the Dolphins to think you really want Tua. That's what you want. And if that's what the goal, by the way, the story was broken by a Florida newspaper. So the people covering the Redskins didn't break this story. It was a newspaper. I don't know if it was the Sun Sentinel that broke this story about Tua came away thinking the Redskins really are interested in bringing me in for Dwayne Haskins. I have no problem with that. If I'm Ron Rivera and I walk in and I go, okay, do I want Dwayne Haskins? Yes or no? Because I have a chance to say no and do something really dramatic for this team. But I'm interviewing Tua either way. Give the impression you're interested in him. That's all. The Niners did this with Mitchell Trubisky. And then the Bears go, oh, my God, we might miss out on him.
Too soon, Dan, too soon.
Yeah. But that's why if Washington takes Tua, I think it's spectacular. It'd be fun. Would I rather have Tua than Dwayne Haskins? Yeah, I would. If I knew Tua was going to check out medically. But Haskins, I thought in the last month, played pretty well. And then maybe you see some of the embryonic stages of, a very good quarterback here. He's just not, I only saw 1 year at Ohio State. And it goes back to when you're trying to handicap this, and one of my friends at Source said, at LSU, how many times are the wide receivers wide open? At Alabama, how many times are the wide receivers wide open? You got to get, then the knock on Justin Herbert is he waited until you became open, and he would sometimes miss on those throws. So one of the scouts said, you need a quarterback who throws you open. And that is, I'm not waiting for you to be open. I'm going to throw it to you. Alabama's got three guys who probably have world-class speed, right? World-class speed. Now, it is the SEC, but you got three guys. Chances are somebody's probably wide open. LSU had the best group of wide receivers I've seen in a long time. Chances are they were probably wide open quite a few times. That's what's hard to, you're trying to understand this, process this with these quarterbacks and say, is he really good? Jordan Love at Utah State seemed undermanned, but as my source said, he wilted in big games. But people love him because they haven't seen all of it. Like Joe Burrow, nobody's going, oh, Joe Burrow is going to be an unbelievable, he's going to be spectacular. Like we're done with Joe Burrow already. I hadn't even got to the NFL. It's, man, that Justin Herbert's got some intangibles. Jordan Love, boy, that guy, watch out for him. It's what we don't know. What we do know, it's boring. I'm going to talk about what we don't know. Yeah, Paul.
I don't know who to credit, but someone posted on Twitter, Jordan Love led the nation in interceptions, a natural replacement for Jameis Winston if they decide to move on.
Yeah.
Mean-spirited.
Best and worst of the weekend. We'll get to your phone calls as well. Once again, Jim Miller, who wrote the book on ESPN, also Saturday Night Live. He is dialed in when it comes to the TV business. Get his thoughts on Tony Romo for $17 million. I don't begrudge it. I mean, if CBS wants to pay him that, great. Good for Tony. And there are reasons that they paid that for Tony Romo. This is a TV show. You want to keep a TV show intact. You got rights fees. You got a new contract, a new collective or a new TV deal coming up. You want to keep him there. If LL Cool J said, hey, I want X number of dollars on the show that he's on, would anybody? Chris O'Donnell says that. I don't know what other CBS shows there are. But, Jim Parsons made $100 million on the last deal on Big Bang Theory. Did anybody go, man, must be great to be an actor who works, 30 minutes a week? Of course, I said that too. Like, good God, you're getting $100 million. Nobody complains about that. Oh, Tony. Now I got Michael Thomas saying, that's why we shouldn't sign the new collective bargaining agreement. No way the announcers should be making more than 90% of the players. Michael, that's a stupid tweet. Did anybody complain about John Madden when John Madden was making $8 or $9 million a year? And he might have been the highest paid guy in football back then because you didn't have quarterbacks making that kind of money. John Madden was making the most money probably of any broadcaster and anybody on the field. Odell Beckham Jr., I'm done playing football. I just want to be an announcer now. That's Odell Beckham Jr. Is that a promise? Good luck with that. This shouldn't even be brought into the conversation that he's getting 17. Well, therefore, we deserve more. You guys are all interchangeable. Odell Beckham leaves, somebody else comes in. Michael Thomas, when he's done, somebody comes in. Tony Romo is signed up for 10 years. How many Super Bowls with that? How many of the top shows on CBS were the games that Romo did with Jim Nantz? That's all you're doing. You're keeping a TV show intact. And it's a TV show. It's not a football game. Yeah, Paul.
How much do you think the spillover will be on other players to retire a year early instead of retire later when they see what Romo did? I know other guys have made a lot of money, but this is astronomical. Like a J.J. Watt with the injury says, why not tap out a year earlier than I thought?
Yeah, but you got to be good.
Well, but we never thought that Romo was going to be good. Remember when he said he was going to the booth? We're like, him?
Well, somebody knew it and I think Phillip Rivers will be a very good analyst as well. I think he could be the next Romo where you go, wow, I did not expect this. If he would want to do that. Yes, he.
Quarterbacks seem to be at an advantage in that role, though, because they have to sort of read the field and they could say, see, this is what this guy is looking at, and this is where he's going to go. He's going to pass it over here because he's got this coverage, whereas a lot of other position players can't do that.
Well, that's why I wondered about why, if you play for the Cowboys, America's team, you're going to get a lot of opportunities. Jason Witten got the opportunity because he played for the Cowboys. If he played for the Browns, Bengals, Rams, no one would care. But he played for the Cowboys. And ESPN thinking, hey, Troy Aikman's done great. Tony Romo's doing great. Let's bring in our Cowboy. Moose Johnston's doing great. Emmitt Smith not doing great, broadcasting-wise. But you bring in Witten, he wasn't ready for that. Because Witten is a guy who waits to get a ball. The guy who throws the ball sees everything. So Witten waited. He would wait when he broadcasted. You got to be proactive. And Jason wasn't wired that way. Drew Brees, to me, could be great. Now, I think Peyton would be the best. And Collinsworth and Troy, they're all great. But Peyton, if you watch, Peyton's place, he's got it all. He's got a sense of humor. He's sharp. He's got respect. And his ability to pre-call, we think Romo's good. Peyton invented it. Peyton's the one who went to the line of scrimmage and goes, you guys are blitzing over here. Okay. He could almost tell the defense what they were doing. But that was the brilliance of him. And I think Peyton, if they want to offer him I don't think Peyton will do it. But, $20 million to do that, that's pretty good. But question is, does Peyton want to do that? But Tony Romo, good for him. You know, he's done well, and he did something different that nobody else had done. I just want to know when that phone call from Chris Collinsworth agent goes to Mark Lazarus at NBC. Or do you just send it like a screen cap, you know, with just Romo signs for $17 million, and then you send it that way? While Collinsworth picks up his, 20th Sports Emmy, or Troy Aikman sends a little note there, best Cowboy quarterback as quarterback and broadcaster is still me. Yes, Paul.
How much do you think Jim Nantz is loving this? That the team, because Jim Nantz is in the latter half of his career. He's doing fantastic, but he gets his prime time, this partnership together, and he gets to have the focal point for the second half of his career.
But also, I'm going to guess his price tag just went up too. I don't know. I don't know Jim's contract, but he's probably saying, I'm making 10. Tony's making 17. I don't know. I do golf. I do a lot of things for you. How about we split the difference and you give me $14 million? Jim's on vacation, by the way. We did reach out. Where does he vacate? He vacations at home.
Hey, you got a place like that. Where are you going?
At Pebble Beach, he vacations at home.
His backyard is where I want to go on vacation.
Yes, I want to go to Nance's house on vacation. All right, we'll take a break. Jim Miller will join us. We'll give you our best and worst of the weekend. Your phone calls are welcome. 877-3DP-SHOW. Take a break. 21 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. What if a quarterback completed 4 out of 5 passes? What if a point guard hit 4 out of 5 shots behind the three-point line? Well, when you're hiring, you can play at that level because 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So no matter the industry, healthcare to manufacturing to business services, ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And today, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Patrick. What ZipRecruiter does is ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for the right candidates to find you. They're proactive. ZipRecruiter's A1 scouts, they'll get the talent for you. And what they do, then you post your job on ZipRecruiter. It goes out to 100 top job sites. Then ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology teams up with what you're looking for, identifies the people with the right skills and experience, and invites them to apply for your job. ZipRecruiter, try it for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Patrick. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. The response has been great. YouTube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. But if you can't watch, we, of course, encourage you to listen. Our great radio affiliates around the country, numbering 362. This program is brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way, the all-new GT 4-door coupe, because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, just go to the DP Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, Mercedes-AMG. Driving performance. Best and worst of the weekend. Fritzy, your best and worst.
Best of the weekend. Rockets 111-110 win in overtime at the Celtics Saturday night. In spite of a rough shooting night for James Harden. Westbrook, 41 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Jaylen Brown hit a 3 at the top of the key that forced overtime in that game. Worst of the weekend as our March Madness confusion grows, as we get ready to fill out brackets. Several ranked teams lose Saturday. Baylor, Florida State, Duke, Villanova, Maryland, Penn State, West Virginia, and Texas Tech all lose over the weekend.
Paulie, best and worst of the weekend.
Worst of the weekend, I know he can be injured, but Anthony Davis not playing last night. That was a great game, LeBron versus Zion. I really want to see Anthony Davis play back there and have his chance to shine. Best of the weekend, who the hell is Shake Milton? He played 40 minutes for the 76ers. He had 39 points, 5 assists. He was 7 of 9 from three-pointers. Shake Milton, this guy who came out of nowhere. I think he played at SMU.
He was in the G League.
G League.
Yeah, he was killing it in the G League.
Okay. And does anyone think Shake is his actual first name? I have his actual name.
I'm going to say no.
That's correct. Malik Benjamin Shake Milton. That's a great nickname, though.
Shake is great.
It is.
Sponsorships all day.
Yeah. Shake Shack.
Yep.
McLovin, best and worst.
Best. I have 2 best because both of my favorite college teams and my favorite college players had huge weekends. Obi Toppin and my Dayton Flyers won their 18th straight.
No.
And Miles Powell and my Seton Hall Pirates, Seton Hall all the way, beat Marquette. My guys, Obi Toppin and Miles Powell, claiming them for life.
I'm not going to let you be on the Dayton bandwagon. We don't want you. You're bad news.
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, I know.
People are flopping for Toppin. It's all happening.
Flopping for Toppin.
There it is.
Seton, best and worst of the weekend.
Well, we've already hit these, but it's so good that I wanted to make it my best and worst anyway. James Harden absolutely laying the smackdown on Giannis was wonderful.
It was
wonderful.
We need more of that.
Oh, gosh, is it good. My worst, though, was Giannis's little, I just want to win games and go back to my family. He immediately killed all the leverage. You know what that reminded me of, actually? Do you remember when you were mean to Jake?
Oh.
And he goes, I'm just trying to have an opinion.
Jake in L.A., the Oracle.
Yeah.
He was like 11 at the time, and I was all pumped up because I'd been doing the show, and then I kind of like went back at him a little bit, and he goes, I was just trying to tell you my opinion.
I think the Celtics could really be the team to beat this year. I mean, they just look like a mess. And
Wait, Jake, don't overreact like this. You're better than that, right?
I'm just giving my opinion like I'm supposed to.
I know. Oh, no, Jake, no. That's it. I can't listen anymore.
Crushing little guy's dreams.
I'm just trying to give my opinion like I'm supposed to do.
And then I saw Jake, what was that, last year or the year before in L.A., he came out to Big Dean's in Santa Monica, and he walked up to me. He looks like he's about 6'2".
Yeah.
He goes, hey, how are you? And I go, good. He goes, I'm Jake in L.A. And I go, what the
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
Yeah.
What?
I think he's going to school with Fritzy's son. I think they're both going to Syracuse.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Just trying to give my opinion.
Yeah. All right, more phone calls coming up. Best and worst of the weekend. Jim Miller, writer, executive producer, media consultant, wrote books on ESPN, Saturday Night Live, and, of course, a creative artist agency. And he's currently working on a book about HBO. Jim, thanks for joining us. I thought of you when this Tony Romo story hit because I figured you would have some inside knowledge about this, about what it means to the business and what's it mean for other analysts at other networks here. So where do you want to start with Tony Romo's contract?
Well, I mean, look, I think there are a lot of people saying, of course, he was going to stay, and I don't think you need a triple-digit IQ to figure that out. It was always going to be, I mean, CBS was in a really tough position if they lost him because they're trying to do everything they can to hold on to that Sunday afternoon schedule, particularly after Les Moonves left the company. You know, you have to remember that Les was a huge advantage for CBS because of the relationship he had with Robert Kraft and a lot of owners in the league. It was always, if you remember when Thursday Night Football came up, CBS won that right out of the gate, and I think a lot of that credit has to go to Les. So they were in a tough position. They knew that ESPN, in particular, wanted Romo, and what they did was they threw out a huge number before ESPN could even throw out a bid. I don't think, I really don't believe that ESPN would have gone as high as CBS did. And I believe the real number is more like 17.7 because there's a lot of private travel involved.
Mm-hmm. What do you think ESPN does now?
Well, I think they have to have plan B, C, D, E. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard because you can't as ESPN learned with Monday Night Football, you just can't all of a sudden produce these people out of thin air. It takes a lot of reps. It takes you need to know that you have somebody who can actually do the job. And by the way, we should say both on air and in the truck, because that's another big part of it. So, I mean, look, this reminds me a lot, Dan, I'm sure you remember in the early 90s when Madden was at CBS, Madden and Pat Summerall were at CBS, and all of a sudden NBC made an offer, ABC Monday Night Football made an offer. Madden at one point, he was actually, I think it was like around $2 or $2.5 million he was going to get at CBS, and Fox made an offer of $4 million or $4.5 million, and Madden still turned it down. And then they came back with $30 million for 4 years. Like I think it was like over $7 million. And Madden goes, "Yeah, on second thought, I think I'll go to Fox." You know, I mean, at some point the money just becomes crazy. And I think there's one other thing that was. Sorry to ramble, but I think there's one other thing going on, which is CBS lost the SEC to ESPN, and if you're in a position where you're losing the SEC and Romo, and all of a sudden you're heading into the NFL negotiations without him.
That's a good point.
That's tough. That's tough.
Do you think ESPN stands pat with their Monday night lineup?
I think that they are going to probably. I can imagine them simulcasting Monday night on ESPN and ABC, and also going after the Sunday afternoon package. I think that one of the things that we should remember about Bob Iger staying on, at least as chairman for the next couple of years, is he's going to be there throughout this new round of NFL rights. And Bob Iger loves the NFL. In fact, that was probably the biggest area of contention between Bob and John Skipper when Skipper was there, because I don't believe Skipper would have even gone for another NFL package. And so Bob's got Jimmy Pitaro in ESPN who loves the NFL just as much as he does, and I think you'll see them go for Monday Night Football and an additional game.
What about their team, their Monday night team with Booger McFarland and Joe Tessitore? You think they keep that team?
How about those Knicks? No, I think it's tough. I think it's tough. There's been a lot of learning curves, both inside the truck and with the team, and some of it is. You can't really point your finger at one particular person or whatever, but I think that there's a lot of momentum inside for a change. But again, I mean, there's some really interesting, talented people out there, but there's not an abundance. And so if you're, and that's one of the reasons why I think Romo's people had such an advantage, because it's definitely a buyer's market.
Does an announcer mean that much, make that much of a difference?
Yeah, so that's the ultimate question, right? I mean, look, if there's a CBS game on 2 years from now and it's a great matchup, are people going to be saying, if they hadn't signed Romo, they'd be saying, we're not going to watch because of Romo? I don't think so, but I think it adds to the entire patina of the network. I think it's one of those things that I believe sometimes an announcer and an announcing team can keep people engaged on a game that maybe is already over. I think there are some advertisers who believe that. They certainly believe that with Madden and Summerall, because you're just kind of hanging out with them then, and people did that with Tony. And it was like, somebody the other day, David Beckham said the other day that he never left a Lakers game early, even if it was a blowout, as long as Kobe was on the court. And I think that not in a dramatic way, and it's not a direct comparison, but I think there are people that really, really enjoy Tony Romo, and they love watching him predict things, and they like the way that he analyzes things, and so it's hanging out with somebody, and it does give it a finish. It does give it a finish when you're going in front of the committee and you're trying to, get those rights. I mean, obviously, it's really about dollars, but I think it helps.
Yeah, I have no problem with his salary because this is a TV show. And if you said this was Big Bang Theory, nobody complained when Jim Parsons got $100 million for being Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory. It gets a lot of eyeballs. It's 3 hours, 4 hours of entertainment. The other things that you use Romo for, that's fine. I have no issue with it. Is there sticker shock for you?
I mean, look, I did not predict it would go as high, that high, but I actually believe that one of the legacies of when you talk about the NFL and television through the decades, one of the legacies is that money that you think is a lot at the time winds up not being a lot. We were just talking about Madden, and CBS lost the rights to the NFC package for like $400 million to Fox. Look at $400 million is nothing.
Yeah.
You lose that. I mean, that's like quarters in the couch that you find. I mean, and yet look what it did for Fox. And CBS had to have its nose pressed up against the window, waiting to get it again. And that same thing happened with NBC when it lost, and then it finally came back with Sunday Night Football. But I think that one of the things with NFL is it's still, in a way, America's crack cocaine. It's still going to get, even though there'd be seasons where the number's down a little bit or whatever, particularly in this crazy fractured universe, it's a very stable viewership, and you got to spend the money.
That's not the official tagline for the NFL 2020. We're just like crack cocaine. That's not official, right?
I think it's in second place. I'm not sure what first place is, but I'm not, they're working on it. It's a big internal debate. But the one thing that's for sure is that they're going to have a lot of bidders, and the money's going to be. It's going to be ridiculous. I mean, this is like a little warning sign that we're about to get into some crazy, crazy dollars.
If you heard something about me or this show, would you report it or would you call me first?
Let's see. No, I would text you. I would text you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You haven't heard anything, right?
Like what?
I don't know. I don't mean to sound paranoid.
I would text. Well, first of all, I would text you because I would want to confirm anything.
Okay.
And if nothing else, but I would also want to hear your side of it. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
In fact, I think through the years that's actually happened a couple of times.
Yes, it has. You're a journalist, and you would always say, "Hey, I'm hearing this," and then I would pause for a few seconds or a minute or maybe an hour, and then I'd decide to get back to you. Because I knew you were right. I just wanted to know how do I spin this and how long do I wait to get back to you. But that was when you were doing your ESPN book, and you're not doing another ESPN book, so I'm in the clear here.
Well, not yet.
Hey, it's great to talk to you, and thanks for joining us as always.
Thanks for having me.
That's James Andrew Miller, Jim Miller. He's done a lot of things. He also has a podcast called Origins, and I think he's exploring the 20th anniversary of Almost Famous. So he wrote the book on ESPN. And what I liked about it is that he didn't do anonymous quotes. I think he only had a couple in the book. Because I said, look, if somebody wants to rip me, they can rip me on the record. But don't be a coward and go behind. And there were a couple that did that. And I know who you are. But you know what? We move forward.
Who are they again?
No, yeah, I know who they are. But, Jim did a great job in capturing ESPN. Also did Live from New York, The Uncensored History of Saturday Night Live. I love that. That was a great book. Of course, I wasn't in it, so I was really happy to read that. I want to take this moment here. I got some bad news on Friday night. A friend of mine, friend of the show, and really just a wonderful person, Maura Mant, passed away. And she was the genius behind the ESPYs. She was a unbelievable worker. She was tough. She got things done and was a sweetheart. And she passed away suddenly, tragically on Friday night. And, the name doesn't mean anything to 99.9% of you, but she meant the world to me. She was just a great champion. She championed my cause. She was the reason why I went back to ESPN for the 40th anniversary. She said, do it. Do it for the people who watched you and Keith. Do it for, you don't have to do it for ESPN. Do it for the people who care and care about you. And she just kept reiterating that. And then she was the reason why I did it. She brokered, if you want to say a deal, but there was no contract or anything. It was just, she was there for me. And she was just a wonderful, wonderful person. And she'll be greatly missed because she did so many other things besides the ESPYs. But Maura Mant, rest in peace. Back after this. Mario, you got a lot of mail. More calendars. Look at that. Good stuff. Get started. Yeah. Remember back on November 12th? You know what happened on November 12th? We did something the next day after what happened on November 12th. Basketball game, upset, big upset. Number one team in the country got upset.
Evansville?
Evansville beat Kentucky in Lexington by 3. We had Walter McCarty on, who was the Evansville coach, who's since been dismissed. He was a former Kentucky player. On Saturday, that same Evansville team. You know what Evansville did after beating Kentucky this year?
Probably went on a run and tore it up.
They didn't win a conference game. They went 0-18 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The Purple Aces are the first team in NCAA history to beat a number one team in the country and lose all of their conference games in the same season.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day.
I'm told we have a new poll question. McLovin, do we?
We can. I have a couple options for you. I have an NBA and an NFL.
Well, update the results.
Who's the MVP? 61% landed on Giannis over LeBron.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm okay with it.
Quick NBA question.
Okay.
Who's the best duo in the West? Because they're all duos now. Everyone's got a friend. LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kawhi, Paul George, Harden, Westbrook, now that Westbrook's playing like an MVP. And how about Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, now that Porzingis is self-realized and scoring like 38? Do you take the Mavs? I'm actually just curious. Do you take the Mavs seriously in this whole thing? Why aren't they in the picture? No one talks about them.
Well, aren't they the best offensive team in the league?
Oh, yeah.
Porzingis is the first player in NBA history with at least 5 block shots and at least 5 3-pointers made in the same game. Like, imagine that you got a guy that talented, and he just did this. He did it with the Knicks one time, and then he just did it with the win over Minnesota. At least 5 block shots and at least 5 3-pointers made.
Stat
Whoa!
of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day.
Rich in Florida joins us. Hey, Rich, what do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
We are going to England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland for 3 weeks in May.
Okay.
And I need your sage advice on which golf courses I ought to look at playing while we're there.
Okay. Well, you want to do Ballybunion. You want to do the old course at Ballybunion. Waterville, to me, was sneaky great. Waterville is wonderful. Lahinch is a lot of fun in Ireland. I didn't play golf in Scotland. I played St. Andrews, but I haven't played any place else there. So I can't help you with that. If you do Royal Portrush, there's Portmarnock. You can't go wrong. But you know what I would do is I would just prepare for the weather. Even though it's May, it's going to be a little brisk over there, Rich, and you're going to probably have a couple of days where it looks beautiful and then it looks horrible and vice versa.
I appreciate it, but we're really looking forward to the trip.
Well, in Scotland, if you get a chance just to see the heather in bloom, I don't know if it'll be in bloom, but you'll just see this sea of purple. It's wonderful. And And there's a little bit different. I think there's a difference in the Irish and the Scottish. The Irish are really, really accommodating. Scottish, not as much. You almost have to earn their love, whereas the Irish, they want your love. They understand tourism, it feels like. I've always felt that. And I'm Irish and Scottish, so I can give a decent opinion on this. But I just found the Ring of Kerry. Go to the Ring of Kerry. Beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. Can't go wrong with the Ring of Kerry. But get ready to drive an awful lot, and they're 2-lane highways only meant for one car. So just so you know, get ready for one of those moments where you go, oh my God, I'm on the wrong side of the road, or that car's coming really close to me. But safe travels, and let me know how you do, Rich. We appreciate your time. Yes, Paul.
The first time I drove in Ireland, I was leaving Galway, and you're on the other side of the road. It's not so bad, but then you get one of those turnaround things where there's 5 different.
Oh, the roundabouts.
The roundabouts where there's 4 different lanes of cars coming in. I'm like, hit the gas.
It's like when a merry-go-round is going, and then you just want to jump on it. Like you go, then you just go, and you just throw yourself on it. Yeah, those are beautiful places to go to. I loved Edinburgh. I went all the way up to Inverness. We went there on our honeymoon, rented a car. And at the time, I didn't play golf, and I didn't drink scotch. I'm going, what am I doing? Missed out on all of that. Final hour coming up. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Friday was the end of an era on the Dan Patrick Show.
I just want to tell you thank you and AT&T and all the boys that you work with.
Thank you to all involved with this program.
But today is the beginning of a new era.
Looking forward to seeing you guys on YouTube, brightening my morning and increasing my sports knowledge every single day.
We're going to be a professional outfit here.
This is about to be a moment that you won't forget.
Paulie.
Cooking up heat, get a boy
See?
top chef.
CNN.
Grind so heavy, tell them we got next.
Fritzy.
Hopes and ready, tell them we on deck.
McLovin.
It's full speed ahead.
To quote the great Skip Bayless, all he does is win.
It's this incestuous machine that just feeds itself.
Dan Patrick.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is the Dan Patrick Show.
New and improved, or at least new. Welcome to the program, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. And once again, we encourage you, if you want to do a drive-by and watch the show. You know, the big complaint is a lot of people couldn't find us on Audience or DirecTV or pay for DirecTV or be able to find us on BR Live, and we do appreciate those partnerships over the years. But now I've taken matters into my own hands. You can go to youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, watch all 3 hours, and more importantly, you can do so for free. Gang's all here, ready to go. Fritzy a little banged up, playing hurt, but he is here, and body and mind. Or at least mind, feels like. Or maybe body. I don't know what percentage you are. What would you say you are today?
I would say something in the 64%.
64%. And that's pretty good. I'll take that every day from you. Yeah, Paul.
What would you describe his complexion as right now? It's kind of like a gray day in a cold winter town, like a kind of a palish gray.
I don't know.
Like a Benjamin Moore color.
I just look at a winner. You got the color of a winner who came in and drove an hour to get here.
I definitely feel like I could pass out before noon Eastern.
Yeah.
And my skin color definitely shows that.
Well, I have my Airstream in the back. No, I don't want you to put those germs on my blanket, my pillow.
I appreciate the
there.
offer for a second there.
Biosphere, something like that. But glad to have you here, Todd. It's our first day, and Fritzy did not want to miss that. We just hope that you're going to be able to feel better and you're back to normal tomorrow.
I appreciate that.
McLovin, how have you been over there sitting next to Fritzy?
I think the scary part of the contagious part is over.
Okay.
But, you know, obviously current events is on everybody's mind, and it's always like we're all kind of amped up over here.
Boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild time in the news.
Yes, it has. And I haven't you notice it, but then I don't want to notice it too much because then it's going to consume you. Now, you know, making sure you wash your hands. Don't shake hands with anybody. If somebody coughs, somebody sneezes. I'm guessing we should do that all the time, but now with the coronavirus and what it means, the impact it's going to have here, I mean, this is global when you think about it. And then, you know, we're talking about the Olympics, not that the sporting event should be, you know, the biggest thing we're talking about, but in our world, they may have to postpone the Olympics. It's that big. And they probably have a drop-dead date sometime in May where they have to make a decision. But it's certainly something that's being discussed here in the United States. And when it first happened, I thought maybe it's contained there, but it's not. Yeah, Fritzy.
My daughter was supposed to have an exchange student from France coming literally in about 8 days from now. And then my daughter was going to go there for a couple of weeks. And I just got word a little while ago that's all canceled.
Yeah.
Maybe next year they'll reschedule it, but that stuff is all over now.
Well, I wonder what happens when we get to large sporting events, you know, March Madness. You know, is anybody going to have any concerns about that? You know, we don't have anything else where we're getting a lot of people together in one building. You're going to have the championship, Final Four in the championship game. But I don't know if there's anything where people are going to be nervous about going to events like that. But, yeah, kind of scary. And the more you read, it feels like the more I read, the less I know. The more I read, the less serious it is, it feels like. But you know, I'm aware of it, but I don't sit here and go, I'm going to let this just consume me.
Do you make any life changes? Like a little bit more careful, maybe public transportation or whatever it may be?
I just haven't thought of it. I don't know. Maybe I should, but I don't. Because if you let it kind of consume you, it takes over your life there. But it's real, that's for sure. LeBron James had a great night, and they needed every bit of his 34, 13, and 12 performance against Zion Williamson. Zion had a career-best 35. L.A. won the game. They swept the seasonal series with the Pelicans. It's a shame they can't play, at least once or twice a week. That would be great. But this is another great performance by LeBron, and plenty of room on the bandwagon for him for MVP. Alvin Gentry, Pelicans head coach, talking about LeBron James.
I'm just amazed that they talk about anybody other than him for MVP. That's what he does. Every team that he's been to, every team that he's gone, have a chance to win the championship. So, to me, I'm not sure what the definition of MVP is, but he makes everybody on his team better, and it makes it difficult for everybody.
Yep. If Zion wins, or if the Greek Freak wins, great. I have no problem with that. Even Zion with Rookie of the Year. Like, Ja Morant has been great from start to finish as a rookie. I think he's more deserving. Zion is getting the headlines here. He's more spectacular. Although Ja Morant's pretty spectacular as well. But I would rather award somebody who's done this from start to finish. Zion's come on, and he's been great. Probably better than advertised. Ja Morant wasn't really advertised. I think people are seeing him maybe for the first or second time. Maybe they saw one game in the NCAA tournament, or you saw a highlight where he jumped over somebody. But Zion had, 31 nationally televised games last year, and we were waiting for his coming out party. He's been fun, and you saw that on display last night. And Zion, he's still, 19? I mean, that's what's crazy about this. You look at Luka Doncic. Doesn't Doncic feel like he's 26 already? Didn't he go from 19 to 26 in the same year? It just feels like that. Trae Young is exactly that. Trae very young. Ja Morant. Like, you have a great group here. The next wave. Yeah, McLevin.
But you're right. It's like Doncic's been around forever. Like, oh, that guy, he's old news.
It does feel like that. Nothing he does now where you go, hey, did you see what Doncic did? If he does a triple-double, you just go, oh, okay. It's not, I don't know. There's just nothing where you go, oh, okay. Trae Young. You just go, oh, okay. Oh, that's a nice night. Yeah, Paul.
McLevin's been a Doncic truther for years, saying he's 5 years older than his what he says.
He certainly looks it. He's built like that. He plays like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I lost that battle at some point, so I kind of don't want to miss the Doncic bandwagon in case he gets hot in the spring. I felt like I was behind on that one. You were early on that one. You were like, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that you can't undersell, can you?
No, and I think Dallas is really a fascinating team because, they score. That's a great scoring team. And Porzingis is now coming back to what he was when he was with the Knicks. He just had his last game, he had, 5 blocks and 5 threes that he made, which has never happened before in the history of the NBA. But you look at the scoring duos, James Harden and Russell Westbrook, they're combining for 62.5 points. Then Anthony Davis and LeBron, 51, almost 52 points. Almost 52 points for Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. The Greek Freak and Chris Middleton, 51 points. Doncic and Porzingis at 47, almost 48 points per game. And I haven't even thrown in, do we know what Kawhi and Paul George are? They haven't played very much together. I think they've had 8 games where they've had their starting lineup intact. But if you're looking at Western Conference duos, LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Luka and Kristaps. I would go LeBron and AD when everybody's healthy, but that's the big question mark. I just don't know about Anthony Davis. As wonderful as he is, it feels like he's always nicked up. Kawhi and Paul George, I don't know. I mean, Paul George has been nicked up. Kawhi has load management here. Harden and Westbrook, they play. I'd probably say Harden and Westbrook are the best duo because every single night they're playing. Luka and Kristaps is interesting, but they're not there yet. Yeah, Paul.
But don't you think Westbrook and Harden are more likely to get in a fight with each other than another team? They always look like they're mad at each other, not the other guys.
Yeah.
Not always, but you know what I mean.
But they're working it out on the floor, which is always interesting and at times dangerous. It feels like they're still trying to figure out how to coexist there. But Russell Westbrook has more than lived up to what we thought. Because I thought, is he going to be okay with Harden just pounding that ball? And he has to because he's joining Harden's team. But look at the numbers. I mean, he's averaging 27.5. Look at the game he had against Boston. He had a monster game. Yes, McLovin.
How much better are the Western Conference playoffs than the Eastern Conference playoffs? The way you're describing it, it's going to be a war.
And imagine if the Pelicans would play the Lakers first round. They're a couple of games out. How great would that be?
Hey, well, Memphis destroyed the Lakers the other day with Ja Morant. That's a good 8 seed, too.
I know. Where you go, wait. This is the same Lakers who got destroyed by Memphis, and then they squeak by New Orleans.
Can't we just jump right on the Ja Morant bandwagon if Zion's out of the playoffs? Or is it?
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ja Morant's real deal. He's not afraid. And he's got a better all-around game than Zion does. But Zion, what he does around the rim, that explosiveness.
But Ja's been around a long time, and we've seen this before from Ja Morant. And
what do you mean he's been around a long time?
And even Zion's been around. Now it's about Shake Milton. You have an 8-day window to make it.
Shake Milton from the Sixers. What did he end up with? Did he have like
39?
Yeah, 39 points. And didn't he make all of his three-pointers?
He had a 19 for 25 stretch.
Oh, okay.
In 5 games.
Yeah, Paul.
But look at how interesting the West is. The 7, 8, and 9 team in the West are the Mavericks, pretty interesting. Grizzlies, pretty interesting. And Pelicans, pretty interesting because of Luka and all that. The 7, 8, 9 team in the East, the Orlando Magic, the Brooklyn Nets, the Washington Wizards. Yee. I mean, Bradley Beal's fun, but not that fun.
No. The East is...
You're Magic. You're the only person I know on earth who watches the Magic.
I know. But, man, it can be really tough sometimes. It just feels like, being on the East Coast, and then I tune in to NBA League Pass, and then there's that damn Wizard game just staring at me, or a Pistons game, and I go, God. And then I feel bad because I go, everybody's probably saying the same thing. All right, I'll watch the Pistons. I'll watch the Wizards. You don't get extra credit. Yeah, McLovin.
I watched the Cavs Sixers the other day, and I think Andre Drummond is a Cavalier.
Yeah, he got traded.
Do the Pistons, Pacers, not the Pacers, they're pretty good, but do they just alternate players? It's all the same team kind of?
I think that they could actually go in at halftime, change uniforms, and play for the other team, and nobody know the difference. They'd just go, man, our team isn't any good. Yeah, Paul.
I thought Andre Drummond, I thought McLovin was making that up. I confirmed 6 games so far with the Cleveland Cavs.
Well, they're already a great rebounding team with Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love, and then they bring in Andre Drummond.
Expiring contract. It's some sort of contract.
Yeah. I mean, Andre Drummond, even though he's been a very good player and improved his stock, but are you going to win with Andre Drummond on the floor as your big man? All right, some phone calls here. Scott in Florida joins us. Hi, Scott. What do you have for me today?
Hi, DP. I just wanted to say Semper Fi and honor your dad, first off, from one jarhead to another. And the best, I got 2 best. The World Sevens rugby tournament was in L.A. this weekend, and a beautiful textbook, massive hit from the Fijian on the Scottish player. Look it up; it's epic. The worst, of course, was the USA's performance in said tournament with severe arm tackling, which was pathetic.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott. I've been waiting for a rugby update. Finally got it.
I don't think we should mess with Scott, though. He sounds pretty tough.
Well, rugby guys and wrestlers, I don't mess with. I do not. Taylor in Nebraska joins us. Hey, Taylor, what do you have for me today?
Hello, Dan. First-time caller, long-time listener.
All right.
5'9", wore out, 223.
Okay.
I have 3 QB swaps. I want your opinion on which one would intrigue you the most or which one you would pay to see.
Okay.
Tom Brady to the Chargers, Phillip Rivers to the Patriots. Brady actually leads the Chargers to a Super Bowl, and Rivers actually gets to a Super Bowl with the Patriots, vice versa. Or Brady to the Colts, Andrew Luck out of retirement to the Patriots. They swap 12s. Or Tom Brady to the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo back to the Patriots, possible Super Bowl matchup.
Well, that one's the one that intrigues me the most. I mean, I'd love to have Andrew Luck back in the game, but if you said Brady goes to San Francisco, and thank you, Taylor, for your phone call. Brady goes back home to play for his childhood team. And then Jimmy Garoppolo goes back to New England. And then Bill Belichick finally gets his young quarterback. Yes, Eden.
It's funny to keep hearing people bring that one up. I was watching the Combine this weekend, and Deion Sanders was talking about it.
He says it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. Because if I'm New England, I would take Jimmy Garoppolo for Tom Brady right now. If you said that if I'm Belichick and I love Belichick, or Belichick loves Garoppolo, then I would say, all right, then you'll get your guy who's 15 years younger than Brady? Tom's got 1 or 2 more years. He goes to San Francisco. All right. Hot.
They're both hot.
They are.
That's definitely the hottest trade of all time.
Of 2 hot quarterbacks.
Based on looks, the hottest trade. Oh, if we do a draft of hottest trades of all time. Ooh.
That's right up there.
Yeah. Yes, McLevin.
Like, I can't think of 2 quarterbacks ever really been traded. Does that happen? So I'm trying to think of hot quarterbacks. I'm like, well, if Cam Newton got traded,
I haven't really thought about this, McLevin, to be honest with you.
I'm all in now.
Yeah, I know. Yes, Steve.
Do you think that's why Belichick sent Garoppolo there for nothing, with the understanding that in a year or 2 you're going to send him back my way, also for nothing?
Well, you're getting Tom, so you're getting something. Like Belichick says, hey, we won't sign Tom if we can get Jimmy G back. Yes, McLevin.
I mean, it's a no-brainer that Jimmy G's better looking than Derek Carr, right? Well, I mean,
I don't want to go down this road today. All right.
You sure?
Yeah, I do.
Depending on the market, Derek Carr is,
Are we going to have the hot quarterback draft?
We've been trying to get that back. Did we do it before? I can't remember. It was a hot guy draft.
No, we had a hot guy draft.
I need a little more time to prep for a hot quarterback
Yeah, my
draft.
big board's a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are we including this year's draft class or not?
Oh, Justin Herbert.
His hair, though, is polarizing.
Justin Herbert's hair is polarizing?
Oh, yeah. Big, weird hair. I like it, but...
That's called college moss is all that is.
Big, weird hair.
Yeah, that kind of looks like pictures from you in college, actually.
That sounds like a band. Big, weird hair. Ladies and gentlemen, big, weird hair.
Joe Burrow kept it tight when he was on set.
Yeah. Did you see Jordan Love and Justin Herbert standing next to Joe Burrow? They make him look really thin. Herbert's a big guy, and Jordan Love is a big dude as well. Those 2 guys next to Herbert, or next to Burrow, it was like, whoa. Yeah, you forget those guys, pretty good size there. Yeah, McLevin.
Well, when Burrow was in set Super Bowl, it struck me as he was kind of a bigger guy, like to us. Like
he was just taller than I thought. He was slight, though.
I see what you're saying.
He teases his hair up to make him look taller.
Yeah, look that way. Added maybe a ½ inch to his hair. If we would have known his hands were 9.5 or 9 inches when we met him, maybe we need to do that. Every time we go to the Super Bowl and we meet a quarterback, how do we measure their hands without? Can I get a patch of wet cement and then have them put their hands in there?
We're on it.
Hey, this is a tradition. Everybody does this. It's like what is that Chinese theater in Mann's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, where you put your hands in there, and then we can measure their hands before they get to the combine. We'll make some news. Yes, McLean.
It's great. It's like one of those shows where they try and get DNA from the perp, the unsub, like secretly. We'll get secret hand size.
Yes,
and scoop everybody.
Yeah, I didn't think of Tua's hands when I shook his hands or his hand. Didn't even think of that.
You didn't say in your head 9 5/8.
No, I didn't.
9 5/8.
I forget who Jim Druckenmiller had like 11.5-inch hands. Remember the guy the Niners drafted? So that's why this whole your hand size, it's silly. What's Joe Montana's hand size? I have no idea. But I'm going to guess it's under 10. Seemed like he did okay. Yes.
There was one guy, I think it was Okuda, who had 2 different hands.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, hand sizes.
Hand sizes.
Everyone has 2 different hands.
And one was 8.5, and it said pinky deformation on the official. And he had a 9.5 and an 8.5, and one that was a pinky deformation. This is insane.
I do like that I say this every year, that the combine, it's on and it's usually background for me where, I'm just checking to see how my boy Rich Eisen is doing. And I like Daniel Jeremiah. And we're, kind of desperate to see some football because it's not necessarily the drills, but then they show you highlights of some of these players. And all right, but I don't come out of this with a different opinion of anybody. Like, Ruggs the third, I thought was fast going in, and he's fast coming out. Isaiah Simmons, he was, projected to be a top 10 pick. He's a wonderful player. But then, as my source said, he's great, but not great on tape. So when you see that's what it should come down to. How good are you in a game? Because then, like Chase Young, all right, you're spectacular in the Big Ten. How did you do against Clemson? Not much, right? I want to see what you do in a big moment. And there's all this talk about, Tua with the Redskins, and we'll talk about that coming up. Yeah, Paul.
It is fun watching the combine for the highlights or the repackaging at night, but when you're watching in the middle of the day and they got 40 different defensive backs, and all of a sudden here's Rich goes, Trey Smith out of Missouri ran a 4.51 the first run. Ooh, that's a 4.52.
It sounds like Rich is doing golf.
Not what he liked.
Doing the combine. Because I don't know where they are proximity-wise, but he's very respectful. Yes.
They actually talked about that this weekend. Why they kind of have to keep it down here as of the golf boys.
Yes.
And they said because it's such a it's so quiet in there, and that it's just sort of like the atmosphere isn't like a sports thing. There's like people that are actually paying attention to certain things, and it's just more of a subdued atmosphere. So they have to keep it down low rather than be like, bah, football.
Mark Lawrence out of Tampa ran a 4.52. Not what he's hoping for.
And here is the Jeff Okudah out of Ohio State, and he ran a 4.39. Yes, McLovin?
Do you care about this, where they move it out of Indy storyline? And what Seed says, they're going to put like 15,000 people in the stands in L.A. or something. I don't know.
But how many people went to Indianapolis?
I'll check.
I didn't hear the audience. Don't they let the crowd in?
I thought they did do that. Yeah, I'm curious. I didn't hear any. It sounded like
any
a
chance
mausoleum.
to make money, but I didn't hear. I'm assuming people would want to go to watch the 40.
Maybe the crowd was just as respectful of Rich Eisen. Was totally silent the entire time.
Yeah. A golf crowd would have been louder because there's always some idiot that says get in the hole, but, Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, and I'm wondering. I mean, it's all about business. So Vegas or Los Angeles or both are going to get the combine, it feels like. Loyalty be damned, right? 22 after the hour. Take a break. Back after this with your phone calls in the Dan Patrick Show. More phone calls coming up. Saw where Deontay Wilder said, yep, let's give it a go. A rematch with Tyson Fury. And I understand it, certainly from Wilder's perspective. I'm going to guess he doesn't wear the 45-pound costume into the ring. Do you know that he actually worked out with a 45-pound weight vest on, working out to get ready for that fight? I don't know if he did that to simulate the costume or he was just working out with a weighted vest on. And that's why when you hear, hey, the costume took, my legs out from me. I was too tired to get into the ring. I'm like, I don't think so. But he's got a chance at age 34 to get another big payday. And if you're Tyson Fury, don't screw this up because you got Anthony Joshua there for a really, really, really big payday. You could do that at Wembley. You could do that fight at Wembley Stadium. You could sell that out. You get 90,000 people in there for that fight, maybe even more. But that's what's at stake here. But Deontay Wilder wants another piece of Tyson Fury. I don't know if anybody's interested in it. I think if the ages were reversed, then I might be a little more interested. Because Deontay Wilder he's a puncher and Tyson Fury is a boxer. But it feels like it'd be the other way around. When you see Tyson Fury, you go, he just looks like one of those James Bond villains or something, where you go, it's just brute strength. He's actually a boxer. Deontay Wilder is the puncher. We talked about Tony Romo and his $17 million a year. Does he become the Kirk Cousins of broadcasters? Like Kirk Cousins, no matter what he does the rest of his life, it feels like he's going to be like 65 years of age and people go, yeah, $84 million guaranteed. Tony Romo's going to be $17 million guy. Yeah, Paul.
So you think the tide will turn against him because of the paycheck a little bit? Social media-wise?
You might get a little of, that's all you're giving us for $17 million a year. Like, people aren't paying this, but you might. But I couldn't care less. Tony, good for him. Good for Jim Nantz to keep Tony in there. It's a great pair. I enjoy watching. I enjoy listening to them. Is he worth it? If somebody is willing to pay it, then you're worth it. That's what it comes down to. And if you get leverage, this is what they wanted, leverage. Tony's people wanted leverage. You got leverage because ESPN was like, we got one chance to get him. And they just blew that chance because now he's signed up for 10 years. You had one chance, and you lost it. Yeah, McLovin.
There's no sport that guys are tied to their salaries more than NBA. Remember, like John Koncak and John Wall. Did we ever talk about John Wall without his contract?
Well, there's nothing else to talk about. He's injured. I don't know what else to talk. Alan Crabb, I always felt that was the de facto answer for guys who are overpaid. Do you know how much Alan Crabb makes? I've never met Alan Crabb, and he might be a nice gentleman. But we always talk about guys being overpaid, and you're like, Alan Crabb. Yeah, Paul.
We were just discussing, and the Knicks have like half a dozen guys who they maxed out, and after they were not that great anymore.
Wait, who are the Mets still paying forever? Was it
Bonilla?
Bobby Bonilla. I think that's another 10 years on that deal. He deferred all of his money. That was a good business decision. All right, did we change the poll question or we stay the same?
I wanted to ask, do you let the analysts affect your viewing habits for football? I'm not sure how you word it, but like I feel like, I'm sort of a Sunday ticket watcher, red zone watcher, where I flip around a lot. So I don't always focus on the color handles.
Well, Jim Miller, who wrote the ESPN book, said last hour that you might stay longer with somebody like Tony Romo if the game is not in doubt. And this is what Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth do better than anybody. They're a great hang because I feel like I'm going to dinner with Al and Chris, and if there's a game that's lopsided, that's a great hang where you're just listening to them talk. And it might not be directed to the action you're seeing, but there's some value in that. But you put the best analysts, best broadcasters on the best games. I don't know if you want a true test of this, have Tony and Jim Nantz do a game with the Jets against, throw out a team. It's Jets-Jaguars. Is the rating going to be much different than if you had Ian Eagle on there? And I don't know if the numbers are any different. With Tony Romo in there instead of Phil Simms. I don't know. I get a better feel with Tony and Jim than I do with Phil and Jim, but that's because Tony's newer and there's a freshness. Phil Simms was doing it for a long, long time. Yeah, Fritzy.
If Nance and Romo were signed to Jets-Jaguars, my instinct would be, ooh, Jets-Jaguars. Must be some interesting storylines that I'm not aware of.
And then you realize, no, there's not. There's no interesting storylines there. Yeah, McLovin.
Love Ian Eagle, though. We want to play.
Oh, yeah, I think Ian Eagle is great. I think he's one of the more underrated announcers.
He used to do the Nets with Mark Jackson, and the two of them were very, very funny.
I think he still does the Nets.
Yeah, but not Mark Jackson.
No.
Oh, by the way, Jackson, and what do you think? Those guys yesterday, they're very relaxed in the booth.
Yeah, I would caution them. It feels like it gets a little sideways with those guys. But I love Van Gundy's sense of humor. I do. I think it's sneaky, great sense of humor. But you just don't want to, because I was listening to Bill Walton and Richard Jefferson and Dave Pasch, and they were doing UCLA, Arizona. And it became less about the game, and that was an important game. Walton by himself is great. But, as the producer, you gotta make sure that they understand there's a moment, there are moments, there's time when you can have fun, but keep it as close to calling the action correctly here. And it got a little loose there for me when I'm watching that. And that was a big game. Yeah, McLovin.
But we always credit TNT's studio show as the best studio show.
That's a studio show. There's no game going on. Like, I expect them to be entertaining. But when a game is going on, and I was watching that game, UCLA and Arizona. And, it's an important game. But Bill and Richard Jefferson were, like, it became a little too much about them. And you got to be careful with that. And then Dave Pasch is trying to land the planes here at LAX, and it's really difficult. So I just sometimes when and I've been in this situation before where I've taken things off the rails as well. I understand it. You get caught up in it, and you think what you're saying or how you're saying it is really interesting when you're there to get people from point A to point B. Yeah, Paul.
And sometimes it works on second or third tier games. They brought Pat McAfee in, the former Colts punter, on Thursday Night Football on ESPN this year, the college game. And it'd be like Louisiana Lafayette versus Memphis. No offense, not Alabama Auburn. And McAfee had room to roam, and it was fun and a good time. But I can imagine if you put McAfee on Auburn, Alabama, and it's 1 versus 4, he might have to rein in a lot.
Well, yeah, because nothing's really at stake, Lafayette, Louisiana Tech or whatever, we're watching and you're going, okay, like give me something that might help make this more exciting. But I don't know. When's the last time you tuned into a game because of who was broadcasting the game? Because I just assume, that 4:30 game on Fox or CBS is a great game. I'm assuming the Sunday night game is a great game. But I don't go, I'm not interested in this Sunday night game, but Al and Chris are doing it. Yes, Eden.
Right. I mean, I don't think that you ever tune in because of the broadcasters, but the broadcasters can make the game better.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the difference, because there's some teams that I'm watching the game no matter what, but when you find out it's the B team, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, McLovin.
I actually tuned into Gruden because I didn't want to miss out on social media conversation. It was a completely different reason.
I understand that.
It was funny.
Yeah, because he was going to say something that you're going to go, wait, what did he say? We used to play the Gruden game. Like, did he really say this?
That guy's got 3 ankles. I call that guy a 3-ankle guy. What? And poor McDonough is like, what are you talking about, Tirico?
But I always thought Gruden was like the Dr. Phil of football broadcasters. He would just say something that was so random, and you go, what? Like Dr. Phil always does that, right, Fritzy?
You bought a fancy aquarium, you ain't got no fish in it.
Yeah, and you're going, I don't know what that means. Like John Gruden to me was like Dr. Phil, just from, he'd have these expressions. That guy, you got another Dr. Phil?
Your cat stuck in a tree, you're calling the pharmacist. That's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Patrick in Ohio joins us. Hi, Patrick. What do you have for me today?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, sir.
I just this is 6/10/19, by the way.
Okay.
This is Patrick from Maumee, Ohio, and I was talking about the combine. They seem to sugarcoat it and they make it the complete opposite of what it's like in a real game. You talked about how quiet it is there with Rich Eisen, and it would make more sense to get these people out with 100,000 fans or at least some noise and some music and some yelling and screaming, so it's more realistic to see how they really perform under the lights.
Yeah, but it's not real football. Players. Thank you, Patrick. It's not real football. But it serves a purpose. And it gets you from the Super Bowl, gets you to the draft. From the Super Bowl to the draft, in between, we get free agency, and then we get the combine. All right. Yes,
And I mean, they just spent all that time in college playing in, like, a crazy atmosphere with 100,000 people screaming and a band playing and all that stuff. Like,
that's why these guys they talk themselves into something or out of something because of what happened this weekend at the Combine. I guarantee you, you got somebody right now telling his GM or his coach or his owner going, man, we got to have this guy. Wait, are you sure? You could probably get him mid to late first round. I think we got to go up and get him. Really? You think we got to go up that high to get Jordan Love? I'm telling you, if we don't, somebody else is going to. Yeah, McLovin.
I mean, the Isaiah Simmons train was a bullet train out of.
Yes, it was.
Until you just shot it down by saying saying a source said he plays too high, because all the guys on NFL Network were saying 3 and 4 now strong possibilities.
I'm only going by my source who said, hey, freakish. He called him freakish, these numbers, but he said he doesn't play like that on tape.
But I think an NFL coach might say, I can fix that, right?
I don't know. He didn't offer up. He's not a coach. He's a scout. So he's saying, he doesn't play that way on tape.
Well, the scouts always like tape. Coaches always like the athletic numbers because they say he wasn't coached right. We can coach him up better. That's the old argument inside buildings, right? I've read that.
Oh,
before. Coaches don't care what he looked. They said, I can fix that. They all say that, and they never can.
Well, I think that comes with the territory. As a coach, you think you're able to bring in. I mean, that would happen with certain teams. Like the Oakland A's in baseball. Like, it didn't matter if we didn't like each other. Come on in, and I'll make you play great baseball. The Oakland Raiders were like that. We would take your cast off. The coaches always feel like they can make you better. I understand that, but that's not always the case. I want to see what you do in a game. That I got a tape, not you're running a 40-yard dash, or you're doing a cone drill, or you're making, like CeeDee Lamb had this unbelievable catch. Look at his tape. Look at his tape. That'll tell you a whole lot more than, look at that athletic catch that he had there. I think that we want the combine to have meaning. I do. In the media, I think we want it to have some meaning here. These NFL writers, they're looking for something to write. I mean, there's only so many things you can say about Tom Brady and free agency here. They need something of substance here. And it feels like they want to validate the combine. And I told you, what's most important, according to a source, is the medicals and what they do on the big board when they draw up plays. For your quarterbacks, they want to know, those are the most important things. Those aren't even televised. The things that you're seeing. And then Chase Young doesn't run. Joe Burrow doesn't do anything. The importance is their Wonderlic test, what they do at the big board, and their medicals. That's the most important thing, and those aren't even televised. Yeah, Paul.
If you want to go back, you can go to NFL.com and other places and see every year who are the big winners and losers from the combine, and it's a coin flip. Like a couple of years ago, Alvin Kamara, running back Tennessee, he was hurt a lot, but he dominated the combine. Everyone thought he could do everything. And then you say the biggest losers of the combine, Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, Eastern Washington, maybe a great player on a lower level, maybe not have all the tools to be a starter in the NFL. He's a starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, he's catching all the time.
He's pretty good. Yeah, McLovin.
Jonathan Taylor, our guy.
I didn't know he was that fast.
No.
Like,
I think Wisconsin running backs is slow, probably, right?
I just knew that every time it felt like he got the ball, he was doing damage. But to run a 4.39, I believe, I was surprised he was that. He doesn't run fast. He might be fast. He doesn't run like he's fast. And there's something about, like, Chris Johnson ran like he was fast. But I didn't get that with Jonathan Taylor. But, he improved his draft stock. If somebody's going to take a running back that high. Take a break. Last call for phone calls on this Monday. Back after this. Got this day in sports history. A couple more phone calls, best and worst of the weekend. Our buddy Pat McAfee, the former Colts punter, I don't know if he was critical of the New Orleans Pelicans with the way that they introduced Zion Williamson. And so they invited him to be the public address announcer. So Pat McAfee took him up on the offer, and this is what it sounded like.
Has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable, 6'6" phenom, Zion Williams.
That's Pat McAfee.
Dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years.
Might be his one and done there with Zion Williamson. All right, couple of phone calls here. Rick in North Carolina. Rick, what's on your mind?
ADP 6'1", 176.
Yeah.
Two best for the weekend. One, it's a beautiful day here in the mountains to drink beer and celebrate my birthday. Second best was did it while smoking meat on my brand new Traeger Pro 780.
Look at you. Happy birthday there, Rick. Thanks for the phone call. John in Ohio joins us. John, what's on your mind?
Morning, guys.
Good
Best of the week was the Zips 5'7" point guard, Lauren Christian Jaskin, scoring 35 in consecutive games against Bowling Green and Buffalo.
All right.
The worst of the weekend was the Bowling Green game was a close loss. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I like getting those weekly updates on Mac basketball there, just in case it slips my mind on the to-do list. Paulie, this day in sports history.
1927, Babe Ruth signed a 3-year deal with the New York Yankees. What was it per year? What did Babe Ruth make a year in 1927? Who wants a piece of it?
$14,000.
$70,000 a year for Babe Ruth.
Oh, that's when he had the quote, "You make more than the president." And he said I had a better year.
Yes. 1962.
Which is true.
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points against the Knicks. Final score 169-147. 2014, Indianapolis Colts signed Peyton Manning to a 7-year, $98 million deal with $34 million signing bonus. It was the largest package deal in the NFL ever at that point.
Wasn't when John Madden was making $7 or $8 million a year? Wasn't he the highest paid person in the NFL? And I'm talking about players as well. I don't know how many guys were making more than John Madden was, and I didn't hear somebody say, "Oh, that's why we have a problem with our collective bargaining agreement. You got an announcer making more than 95% of the players here." Now you got Michael Thomas saying this and Odell Beckham Jr. about Tony Romo's contract. That's the networks who need him to be. He's one of the star players. He's an actor. If you take away an actor from some a show, it'd be damaged. You want to keep that team intact. It's a TV show. That's all. But we get people up in arms about what Tony Romo's making. All right. He makes more than Michael Thomas does or whatever, Odell Beckham. All right. He's broadcasting the game. And last time I looked, I don't think Odell Beckham should be critical of Tony Romo's contract. Tony shows up, plays well, and plays at a high level. Broadcasts at a high level. How about that? Odell, I'm going to quit. No, all right, quit. Try it. Let's see how you do. Look like you might have quit a couple of times before. What?
Wow.
Oh, that's gonna get to him on social media. All right, whatever. Yes. It's just just get your act together, players. Man, God. That's proof that we need to have a new collective bargaining agreement. Tony Romo. What is Romo as far as highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL?
17 is probably low now.
Yeah.
17 is a hell of a number for the color commentator.
Oh, it is. It is. But leverage. He had offers. He had an offer from ESPN. Fritzy, what did you learn on today's program?
40-20 Greek Freak can do a bit more than just run up and down the court.
And dunk, yes. McLovin, what did you learn today?
Peter King says Redskins and Tua is not happening in a million years.
Yeah, it was broken by a Florida newspaper, not a Washington, D.C. newspaper. That's what I found interesting. That's why I thought maybe it's planted. Seton O'Connor.
The one hole in Giannis's game, trash talk.
And free throws, too, I think. Paulie?
his second to last year in the league, Tony Romo made $17 million as a starter.
Todd, what did I learn today?
Deion Sanders said at the Combine that it makes sense for Brady and Garoppolo to be traded for one another.
What we learned brought to you by Tecovas, boots that are handmade, full-grain leathers, world-class boot makers. Tecovas cuts out the middleman, sells directly to you at amazing prices. Shipping, returns, exchanges, free and easy. Visit Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. Tecovas, Western goods for new frontiers. Talk to you tomorrow. One more item. Secure.